Improve yourself 1% every day, ladies and gentlemen. There is a secret so simple, so powerful, that once understood, it can change your life forever. It's not locked behind vaults. It's not hidden in ancient texts. It is this: if you improve yourself just 1% each day, you will become unstoppable. 1%, not a revolution, not a transformation, just a decision to be better than you were yesterday. Let me ask you, what is one thing you can do today that your future self will thank you for? Is it waking up earlier? Is it reading one more page? Is it choosing focus over distraction? The world will tell you success is about giant leaps. But the truth is, giants are built by inches, day by day, thought by thought, action by action. You are not sculpted by grand events, but by small decisions stacked like bricks. One brick at a time, and suddenly you're standing inside the house of your dreams. You see, it's not about intensity, it's about consistency. A drop of water given time can carve stone, and that is the power of 1%. Daily improvement doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. Progress is not reserved for the chosen few. It is the birthright of every person willing to commit. You don't need talent, you don't need luck, you need hunger, discipline, and patience. That's it. Small daily improvements compound into massive success. Success is not a lightning strike. It is not a flash of inspiration nor a one-time event that falls from the sky. Success is a quiet builder. It labors while no one is watching. It crafts its masterpiece in the shadows. And it begins with a single step forward, one small improvement made today. Look around you. At every towering mountain, every mighty oak, every empire that seems unshakable, none of them were born overnight. They rose from grains, from seeds, from sparks. And so too shall your greatness rise, not through monumental change, but through small, deliberate acts repeated with faith and precision. Do not be deceived by the simplicity of progress. The masses crave fireworks. They want change that explodes and dazzles. But true success does not explode. It accumulates. 1% better today becomes 2% tomorrow. And as the days march on, those small advances gather weight, strength, and speed, until they erupt into mastery. The difference between mediocrity and excellence is rarely talent. It is the willingness to repeat improvement, no matter how minor, day after day. The man who climbs steadily will always surpass the one who rushes forward, then collapses. Persistence in improvement defeats the hunger for perfection. Each day you are handed a choice: remain as you are or rise, if only by an inch. That inch taken consistently becomes a mile, and the mile becomes a journey. Over time, you will look back and be astounded by the distance you've traveled, one tiny decision at a time. The world will not applaud your small efforts, not at first. No crowd cheers for a single push-up or a page read in silence. But do not let their silence discourage you. The world notices in time. Keep going. Each improvement is a seed, and seeds, when nourished, become forests. You must understand that power lies in the compounding of effort. One drop of water seems insignificant, but repeated over time it can carve canyons. So too will your small habits. When compounded, reshape your life, your mind, your destiny. Make no mistake, the man who grows 1% each day does not remain the same man for long. He becomes someone unrecognizable to his former self. His thoughts evolve, his confidence blossoms, his capabilities explode, all because he chose the path of daily growth rather than sudden reinvention. There is magic in momentum. The more you improve, the more you believe, and the more you believe, the more you improve. This is the upward spiral. This is the quiet force that separates those who dream from those who do. And it begins always with one small, humble step. So do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait for motivation to strike like lightning. Begin now with what you have where you are. Plant the first seed of improvement today. Tomorrow will thank you. Consistency beats intensity over time. There is a dangerous illusion that has taken root in the minds of the modern world, the belief that greatness is born in a burst, that champions are forged in moments of intensity, that excellence is created by grand displays of effort. But let me offer you the truth, plain and unshakable. It is not intensity that wins the race, it is consistency. A blazing fire burns brightly for a moment and then fades into ash, but the steady flame, though less dazzling at first, outlasts the storm. Life does not reward those who work in waves. It rewards those who work without wavering. The man who exerts energy once, no matter how powerful, cannot match the one who shows up day after day, building himself brick by brick. Intensity is a sprint. Consistency is a marathon. A sprint may impress the eyes, but it is the marathon that conquers the course. Do not be fooled by fast starts. The true measure of a person is not how they begin, but how they endure. When you act only when inspired, you are a prisoner to your emotions. But when you act by decision, habitual, unrelenting decision, you break free from the chains of circumstance. You become the master of your schedule, your growth, and ultimately your destiny. Ask yourself this: what would happen if you showed up every single day, even when you didn't feel like it? What if you wrote one page, studied 1 hour, trained one session, served one person, every day without fail? Over time, the answer is simple. You would become unstoppable. The man of consistency is underestimated. He is overlooked. Why? Because he does not boast, he does not announce, he does not seek attention. But silently, with devotion, he builds, and by the time the world notices, he has become too strong to be ignored. Results do not come to those who work hard once. Results come to those who keep showing up after the excitement fades. That is where the real transformation lies. In the quiet, in the repetition, in the willingness to keep going after the applause has died. There is no magic in occasional effort. Magic lies in the ordinary made sacred through routine. Your best self is not waiting at the end of a single powerful day. It is waiting behind hundreds of days stacked with simple, intentional actions. You do not need to do it all today. You only need to do a little, and then again tomorrow, and again the next day. A river does not cut through rock because it is forceful. It cuts through because it is relentless. In the same way, your small daily actions will cut through your limits, your fears, your doubts, not by force, but by faithfulness. So do not chase the firework. Be the steady flame. Be the one who returns to the work again and again until the work is no longer effort, but identity. And when that day comes, you will realize you didn't need to be extraordinary. You only needed to be consistent. 1% growth each day creates unstoppable momentum. There is a law in the universe more potent than chance, more enduring than talent, and more consistent than luck. It is the law of momentum, and momentum is not built in great bursts. It is born from small, repeated actions, 1% of growth each day that quietly gathers strength until it becomes a force too powerful to stop. The greatest mistake people make is waiting for motivation to begin. But motivation is not the spark. It is the result of motion. When you move even a little, you create energy. You shift inertia. You awaken something ancient inside the soul, the power to build, and with just 1% of effort, you invite the laws of momentum to serve you. 1% may seem like nothing to the eye. It is invisible to the impatient, overlooked by the proud, dismissed by the lazy. But the wise understand that what appears small today becomes unstoppable tomorrow. The snowball rolling slowly down the hill becomes the avalanche that reshapes the entire valley. Every empire begins with a single stone laid. Every master began as a novice fumbling forward. Each one who ever achieved greatness had this in common. They began small, they grew daily, and they refused to quit. 1% again and again becomes a mountain no man can move. It is the habit of the masses to demand results without earning rhythm. But results without rhythm collapse. They fade like sparks in the wind. Only those who build momentum, who grow consistently, become permanent fixtures in the halls of achievement. They do not arrive with noise, but they remain with legacy. There is a moment in the life of every achiever where their growth takes on a life of its own. What once required discipline becomes automatic. What once demanded courage becomes second nature, and what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. That moment is earned through the discipline of daily 1% growth. You do not need to rush. You only need to rise, inch by inch, habit by habit, decision by decision. As momentum builds, so does belief. And belief feeds effort, and effort feeds progress. It is a cycle of victory that begins not in a crowd, but in silence, in the lonely hour where a man decides to do better today than he did yesterday. The man who understands momentum does not fear slow progress. He fears no progress, because even slow growth, when fueled daily, becomes exponential. The curve does not lie. It rewards the patient, the steady, the relentless. Those who honor the process will one day be mistaken for the lucky. 1% growth each day may seem insignificant to the distracted mind, but to the focused soul, it is the master key. It unlocks doors not through force, but through persistence. It turns the ordinary life into a work of greatness, not overnight, but inevitably. The wind favors the man who moves, and when that man moves forward with intention, even by the smallest measure, momentum becomes his servant. Opportunities align, ideas connect, strength multiplies, and what was once distant begins to draw near, pulled by the gravity of progress. Success is not a giant leap, but a series of small, intentional steps. The world celebrates the leap, but it forgets the steps. It marvels at the summit and ignores the climb. Yet, the truth remains eternal. Success is never a single grand act. It is a slow accumulation of deliberate movements made day after day, without fanfare and without applause. Greatness is not granted in an instant. It is constructed brick by brick, decision by decision, under the weight of discipline and the guidance of purpose. Every mighty structure, every towering achievement, rests not on one bold action, but on the foundation of thousands of quiet choices. The man who believes in sudden victory will be defeated by time, but the one who walks with patience, with focus, with direction, he cannot be denied. His progress may be invisible to others, but it is certain. His path may be long, but it is solid. For he understands that every small, intentional step is a seed of future power. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they grow weary in the process. They seek shortcuts. They want the prize without the path. But those who endure, those who advance one clear step at a time, are the ones who become unstoppable, not by force, but by unwavering movement. Each step must be taken with intention. Aimless motion is wasted energy, but when your steps are aligned with a clear vision, they gain weight. A purposeful step, however small, carries more power than a blind leap. It builds momentum, it sharpens direction, it develops character. Success cannot be rushed, for it does not answer to urgency. It responds only to consistency and clarity. One who hurries may arrive at noise, but not at mastery. The steps, though simple, are sacred. They must be respected. Skipped steps will always reveal themselves in the foundation of failure. The man who honors the process will always outlast the one who glorifies the outcome. For the process is where strength is built. The process is where doubt is destroyed. And it is within the repetition of intentional steps that you craft not only a result, but a new identity. Do not seek to jump ahead of your own growth. For every season has its lessons, every step its reason. There is wisdom in moving forward slowly but surely. In each small advancement, you are not only getting closer, you are becoming wiser, sharper, more capable. Even the tallest tree must first be a rooted seed. It cannot bypass its seasons nor outrun the sun. It grows in stillness, in silence, in patience. So too must the man who wishes to reach heights. Let each step be your offering to the future. Let each moment of progress shape the architecture of your destiny. The leap will come, but only when the steps have earned it. And when it does, it will not feel sudden, it will feel natural. Because you will know that your success was not a miracle. It was the result of 1,000 invisible movements, all aligned toward a single, burning aim. Progress changes identity, not just behavior. There is a power greater than results, greater than recognition, greater even than the rewards of achievement, and that is transformation. Not the transformation of your outer world, but of your inner world. Because true progress does not merely change what you do, it changes who you are. Most people strive for surface-level improvement. They want better habits, higher income, sharper skills, but few understand that lasting change begins within. Until the self-concept shifts, all external success is fragile. You may act like a winner, but if you still think like the defeated, you will return to the life you believe you deserve. Every time you push forward, even by a fraction, every time you stretch beyond your limits, delay a temptation, conquer a small fear, you are not just adjusting behavior, you are rewriting identity. You are speaking to your subconscious, saying, "This is who I am now." That is why even the smallest progress must be taken seriously, because each act is a vote for your future self. Every day you rise earlier, think clearer, move with purpose. You're not just doing things differently, you are becoming someone new. The world responds not to effort, but to essence, and essence is born through repeated action. Change rooted only in discipline fades, but change driven by identity becomes automatic. When you no longer have to force the habit, when the habit becomes you, that is when power is unlocked. That is when your mind and behavior move in perfect harmony. You see, a man does not rise above his own self-image. He may dream of glory, but if deep within he still sees himself as weak, as unworthy, as limited, his progress will sabotage itself. That is why progress must penetrate deeper than routine. It must be planted in the soul. The moment you begin to see yourself differently, everything begins to shift. You walk taller. You think with greater clarity. You make decisions not out of desperation, but out of destiny, and this change, this invisible elevation, is noticed by others before they even understand why. The world mirrors your identity. Opportunities open to those who expect them. Respect flows to those who radiate confidence. Leadership follows those who have led themselves. When you upgrade your identity, you change the kind of life you attract, because you no longer chase. You become. So the question is not just, what should I do today, but who am I becoming as I do it? Are your actions sculpting a stronger version of you, or are they reinforcing a lesser image? Identity is not found. It is forged through sweat, through sacrifice, through thousands of unseen choices that compound until the old self can no longer survive. And that is the miracle of real progress. Not that you succeed at a task, but that you evolve into someone for whom success becomes natural. And in that moment, you no longer fight for change. You are the change. You don't need talent or luck, just commitment. There is a deception that has crippled more dreams than failure ever could, the belief that success belongs only to the gifted, that greatness is reserved for the lucky. But examine history, look deep into the lives of those who achieved. You will find not perfection, but persistence, not genius, but grit. It was not talent that carried them forward, it was commitment. Talent may sparkle in moments, but commitment endures through storms. Luck may open a door, but it is commitment that walks through it, stays there, builds within it, and multiplies its value. While others wait for a sign, the committed create one. They don't hope for favorable winds, they sail regardless of the weather. There is a sacred power in the heart of the committed man. He may begin with nothing, no connections, no advantages, no applause. But through sheer resolve, he begins to bend reality. Obstacles fall before him not because he's stronger, but because he refuses to retreat. His consistency breaks down walls that talent alone could never touch. The world is filled with the remains of gifted men who quit. Their potential died in comfort, drowned in indecision. But the man who commits, who plants his flag and says, "I will not stop," becomes a force that even fate must reckon with. He may stumble, but he will rise. He may fail, but he will learn, and each setback becomes fuel. Commitment is not glamorous. It does not shout. It does not need recognition. It shows up day after day in silence. It works while others sleep. It studies when others entertain. It builds when others boast. And in time, the results become undeniable, not because they came quickly, but because they never stopped coming. You do not need to be the best to begin. You only need to begin and refuse to quit. Talent may give you a head start, but commitment keeps you running when your legs are tired and the finish line is out of sight. Commitment doesn't need certainty. It creates it. Let the world laugh at your slow beginnings. Let them doubt your journey, because the committed man knows something they do not. The one who keeps showing up eventually outlasts them all. He trains while they rest, he writes while they wander, he builds while they wish, and in time he becomes what they could have been. Commitment is a decision made in the quiet places of the soul. It is not made once, it is made daily. Sometimes hourly. It is not a feeling, it is a vow. A sacred contract between who you are and who you are destined to become. And every time you keep that contract, you carve a deeper path toward that destiny. You are not powerless. You are not dependent on external favor. You do not need someone to choose you. When you commit, you choose yourself. And when a man commits fully, the universe, slowly but surely, begins to move in response. Not immediately, not easily, but inevitably. So ask not, do I have what it takes? Ask only, will I stay with it long enough to become what it takes? Because once commitment is made, the how begins to reveal itself, and a new world begins to open, not for the most talented, not for the most fortunate, but for the most faithful. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results of the mind can dream with astonishing power. It can imagine kingdoms, fortunes, and legacies yet unborn. But let this truth strike you with clarity. Dreams remain dreams until they are forged by discipline. It is discipline, not desire, that transforms the invisible into the visible. It is the bridge that carries a man from the place of longing to the land of fulfillment. Many speak of goals. They write them down, repeat them aloud, hang them on walls, but these are only seeds. Without discipline, the soil remains barren. Discipline is the water, the sunlight, the time. It is the daily act of doing what must be done, especially when it is not convenient, not glamorous, not easy. Discipline is the quiet soldier of success. It rises early when the body pleads for more sleep. It chooses the difficult path while others seek comfort. It obeys principle over impulse. Discipline does not shout, it acts, and its reward is the one prize no man can counterfeit, results. You see, a goal is only a direction. It is a destination that calls to you. But without a vehicle, you will never reach it. That vehicle is made of habits, and habits are forged in the fire of discipline. The man who masters discipline builds a highway between his current self and his future self, a highway paved not with hope, but with repeated obedience. Discipline is not punishment, it is power. It is not restriction, it is liberation. Because the man who disciplines himself controls himself, and the man who controls himself is not controlled by circumstances, emotions, or the opinions of weaker minds. He is free, not because the world bends to him, but because he bends to purpose. While the masses move only when they feel like it, the disciplined man moves because he decided to. Feelings are fleeting, but decisions rooted in discipline echo through generations. And though the process is slow and often invisible, one day the results will speak so loudly that the world can no longer ignore them. The undisciplined man may rise quickly, but he will fall just as fast. He builds without foundation, his actions are erratic, his will untested, but the disciplined man is steady. He may move slowly, but he never moves backward. Every day, every repetition, every sacrifice pulls him closer to the man he was born to become. Discipline is the furnace where your future is refined. It is in the early hours, in the quiet effort, in the lonely choices where character is built. Others may not see it, but that is precisely why it matters. Because discipline is not for display, it is for transformation. You do not need to move mountains today. You only need to choose the next right action and commit to it. That is where discipline lives, not in grand speeches, but in silent victories. In saying no when no one is watching, in saying yes to the hard path when the easy one beckons. Every time you obey the whisper of discipline, you grow. So if your goal feels far away, if your dream seems beyond your reach, do not despair. Instead, ask, am I walking the bridge? Because that bridge is not built by wishing. It is built by doing, one stone at a time, one choice at a time. And as you keep walking it, quietly, faithfully, you will wake one day to find yourself standing in the very future you once could only imagine. The path of daily improvement leads to freedom. Freedom is not simply the absence of chains. It is not measured by what you are allowed to do, but by what you have earned the power to do, and this power, this inner freedom, does not arrive all at once. It is not granted, it is built. It is built through daily improvement, through the quiet, unwavering decision to become better, stronger, wiser with each passing day. A man may be free in body, yet enslaved in mind, bound by fear, indecision, laziness, or doubt. But the one who commits to the path of constant growth begins to break those invisible chains. With every act of self-discipline, with every small victory over yesterday's limits, he moves closer to a freedom no one can give him, and no one can take away. Each day of improvement, no matter how small, expands the soul's territory. It enlarges the man. It gives him dominion over the one thing he truly owns, himself. For only the man who can rule over his mind, his habits, and his time can ever hope to command his destiny. Freedom is not found in escape. It is found in mastery. Most people seek to flee their circumstances, their emotions, their responsibilities. But the wise man turns inward and refines himself. He understands that every refinement, every day he rises above the man he was yesterday, is another brick laid in the fortress of true independence. It is the man who improves daily who gains options. He sharpens his skills, and opportunity begins to chase him. He strengthens his discipline, and distractions lose their power. He expands his knowledge, and ignorance becomes a fading shadow. Progress does not just make life better, it makes you more capable of handling life on your own terms. Without growth, a man becomes a servant to chance. He is tossed by moods, enslaved by habits, trapped by cycles of regret. But with steady improvement, he becomes his own liberator. Each day of work, of study, of sacrifice is not just toil. It is a chisel carving out the man who no longer waits for permission to live as he was meant to live. Daily improvement is not about perfection. It is about evolution. It is about honoring the potential buried within you and refusing to let it rot in comfort. Even a single moment of progress, repeated faithfully over time, begins to tear down walls, mental, emotional, even spiritual walls that once held you captive. There is a fire that burns in the one who is growing, not because his life is perfect, but because he knows where he is going. He walks with a quiet strength, a calm resolve. He does not shout his progress, because he doesn't need to. He is not proving anything to the world. He is becoming, and this becoming, this unfolding of potential through daily effort, is the purest form of liberty. It is the man who earns the right to speak with authority, to live without apology, to act without hesitation. Because he no longer fears the future. He is creating it, one improved step at a time. So understand this: the chains that bind you are not made of iron, but of habit, comfort, and delay. And the key to unlock them is not hidden in the world. It is forged through your actions. The path is not glamorous, but it is sacred. And every day you walk it, every time you rise again, you are not just moving forward. You are setting yourself free. Start today. Start now. Start where you are. Because the clock is ticking and your greatest self is waiting to be built. 1% at a time. Let this be the day you stop waiting. Let this be the day you stop wishing. Let this be the day you start becoming. The greatest power on earth is a mind made up. Decide now. Grow tomorrow. Improve yourself 1% every day, and there will come a time when the world will no longer recognize who you used to be.